The most confident person in your meeting is probably wrong. The person with the right answer staying silent, that's you. And it's costing you promotions, credit, influence, because you're comparing your messy internal experience to everyone else's polished performance. I'm going to show you how to interrupt this pattern. One framework, one reset that works in real time. Because certainty isn't a prerequisite, it's a performance. I'm Vin Maharaj, licensed psychotherapist. I've spent over a decade working with high achievers in tech, engineers, founders, product managers, designers, marketers, you name it. People at early stage startups and established companies. I've also built and sold a tech startup, worked as a CMO for a funded company in San Francisco and New York City. So I've been on both sides, the psychological patterns and the tech pressure. And here's what I know. The people who look the most confident are usually just better at hiding the chaos. They're not more capable, they're just better actors. But their acting isn't about being confident. It's about having a playbook, specific moves they can run, even when their internal alarm system is screaming. And that's what I'm here to give you. Here's what it looks like. You're in a stand-up, sprint planning, strategy meeting, Zoom call with your distributed team, and your internal voice sounds like this. Everyone here sounds so damn smart. How do they just know what to say? I have thoughts, but they sound stupid in my head. If I speak up, I'll sound dumb. Meanwhile, the product manager who joined 3 months ago is confidently proposing a roadmap that completely ignores the user research you spent weeks conducting. And everyone's nodding like it's brilliant. You know it's wrong. You have the data, but you say nothing. So maybe you're an engineer in architecture review, and the team is pushing for an approach that makes the entire code base impossible to test. You can see the quality nightmare, but when they ask any concerns, you nod and say, it looks okay. Or you're a designer 3 days before launch. The color contrast fails accessibility standards. You flagged it twice on Slack. Nobody responded. I mean, you could escalate. You could block the launch. Instead, you tell yourself, someone else will catch it. And this is the trap. Articulation equals intelligence. Can't explain your thinking on the spot. They assume you don't have any. Freeze when asked a question. They assume you don't know the answer. Stay quiet in meetings. They assume you have nothing to contribute. You could have solved the problem, had the data that changes everything. But if you can't articulate it confidently when it matters, they question whether you actually did it. So when you freeze, it feels like proof you don't belong. That's not social anxiety. That's like survival panic. And here's the truth about what you're seeing. You're backstage. You see every mistake, every hesitation, every mental edit. And everyone else's, you're watching their performance on stage, polished, rehearsed, no mistakes visible, or at least how you're perceiving it. You have full access to your internal chaos. You have zero access to theirs. So of course you look worse. That calm person on the call, their heart might be pounding. That certain engineer they're probably replaying everything tonight. That smooth founder probably practiced 20 times. You don't see that. You only see the act. And here's what makes this worse. You've probably heard of the Dunning-Kruger effect, where incompetent people overestimate their abilities. But here's what most people miss. It works in reverse too. Cornell researchers found that highly competent people consistently underestimate themselves. The top performers in their studies rated their performance lower than actual scores. Meanwhile, the bottom performers, they thought they did great. So if you're feeling like you're not good enough, that's actually evidence you're on the competent end of the spectrum. Because incompetent people don't worry about being incompetent. Your brain just hasn't caught up to your actual capabilities yet. Let me tell you about a client. We'll call him Tim, Chief Technology Officer at a fast-growing AI fintech startup. Built the entire technical infrastructure, respected by his engineering team. But in leadership meetings, he stayed quiet. His co-founders would pitch investors, present to the board, explain the vision like they were born doing it. Meanwhile, Tim felt like the technical guy, stumbling over every word, even when he knew the API architecture had a critical security flaw that could expose customer financial data. Fixing it would delay the launch by 8 weeks, and he knew he should speak up, but he didn't. I asked him what was happening internally. He said, I spend all my energy fighting the negative thoughts in my head. Did I just sound incompetent? Am I killing the momentum again? Do they think I'm the reason we can't move fast? Then he told me this. I'm terrified they'll realize I'm not the technical leader they hired. I'm just really good at faking it. And here's what's actually happening. Tim was watching his co-founders perform, polished, confident, no hesitation, visible, and comparing that to every doubt screaming in his own head. Of course he felt like a fraud. He was watching their results while living through his struggle. So how do you handle this when it hits in real time? You need a reset strategy, something you can actually use when your brain is screaming, everyone here is better than me. I call this the Audience-to-Analyst Reset. Here's how it works. The next time you're in a meeting and you feel that comparison dread hit, your chest tightens, your voice is cracking, your internal voice is saying, you don't belong here. Your job is to shift your role. You're not a judged member of the audience now. You are an analyst collecting data. This works for people in tech because you already think in systems, whether you're debugging code, analyzing campaign performance, mapping user journeys, qualifying leads. You observe, you gather information, and you draw conclusions. That's already your skill set. Now apply it to the room. To do this, silently repeat a mantra. Their stage is not my backstage. Think of it like this. You're running in debug mode. Every error is visible, but then production mode, clean interface. And that internal feeling says, everyone's more confident than me. But the truth is, you're the only one reading your error logs. So let's try it right now. Picture the last time you felt comparison anxiety. Maybe it was on a Zoom call, conference room, demo, pitch, doesn't matter. Feel that tension. Now say it in your head. Their stage is not my backstage. Take one slow breath. You didn't fight the feeling. You relabeled it. You reminded yourself everyone has error logs. You're just the only one reading yours. And that's the reset, passenger to pilot. Now, I know what you're thinking. Vin, this mantra thing sounds nice and all, but sometimes my brain is screaming. They're smarter than me. They're more technical. They're this, they're that. They can articulate better. I mean, look at their goddamn LinkedIn profile and the highlight reel won't stop. A mantra isn't enough. And that's fair. At that moment, your emotional brain has hijacked everything. Logic won't work yet. And we need to soothe the emotion first, then redirect. I call it the self-compassion check. It takes 2 steps. Cannot skip step 1. So step 1, acknowledge this feeling with compassion. Instead of fighting the I'm not good enough thought process here, acknowledge the feeling underneath. Silently say, this is a painful thought. This feeling of comparison is hard, but it's a human feeling. You're validating the emotion as real without agreeing with that distorted thought which caused it. You're giving yourself kindness instead of judgment. Because here's what happens when you judge yourself for feeling anxious. I shouldn't feel this way. What's wrong with me? Now you're anxious about being anxious. But when you acknowledge it with a little bit of self-compassion here, you're saying this is hard and it's okay. I'm not broken. That acknowledgement short circuits the shame spiral. Your nervous system settles and it gives you an opportunity to think clearly. Step 2, shift from judgment to curiosity here. Now that you've calmed the emotion, give your brain a new mission. Become a curious student of the person you're comparing yourself to. You're shifting towards this question. What's one small thing I can learn from how they're communicating? Not looking for evidence of their genius. You're simply looking for technique. So you notice, if you're a product manager, how do they frame the trade-off to get buy-in? If you're an engineer, how do they push back when a senior engineer proposed an architecture they knew would fail at scale? If you're in marketing, how did they translate campaign metrics into business impact. If you're a designer, how do they advocate for users without getting defensive? The point is, you're no longer trapped in comparison. You're actively learning. You've shifted from I'm less than to I'm learning from. So back to Tim's story here. He worked on the framework. He started practicing the audience-to-analyst reset in smaller leadership meetings first. Every time the comparison feeling hit, he used the mantra, their stage is not my backstage. He used the compassion check and then shifted to curiosity. What's one technique I can learn from how they communicate? He started noticing patterns. His co-founders used stories, customer examples, made complex technical concepts sound simple and urgent. 2 weeks later, leadership meeting, CEO is pushing to launch on schedule. Tim feels that comparison spike coming, and he thinks to himself, they all sound so certain about this timeline. Maybe I'm overreacting about the security flaw. But he'd been practicing the reset. He caught it, and he spoke up. He said, before we commit to this date, I need to flag a critical security issue. Our API has a flaw that could expose customer financial data. We need 8 weeks to fix it. Room went silent. CEO looked at him. How bad are we talking? Tim took a breath. If we launch like this and there's a breach, we lose our banking partnerships. That's the business. So they delayed the launch, fixed the security flaw properly. 3 months later, a competitor in their space had a massive data breach. Financial data exposed, company lost half their customers. Tim's co-founder pulled him aside. He said, you saved us. That security call, that's exactly why you're here. The comparison feeling didn't disappear. Tim still notices when his co-founders speak more smoothly than he does. But now he expects it, like an old habit that shows up but doesn't get to decide. And he speaks up anyway. So here's the truth. You will always feel uncertain. That doesn't go away. The goal isn't to feel confident. The goal is to stop waiting for confidence before you act. Every time you use this reset, you're proving you can feel uncertain and still show up. That's not performing confidence. That's performing despite uncertainty. Do it enough times, something shifts not the feeling, your relationship to it. Whether you're on video or in person, the principle is the same. Everyone feels doubt. Confident people just don't wait for it to disappear. If this framework helps you spot the comparison trap in your own meetings, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me which situation triggers comparison for you most. Could it be stand-ups, Zoom calls with leadership, strategy meetings, whatever it is? And which technique are you going to try? The mantra, the self-compassion check, the curiosity redirect? Your comment might be exactly what someone else needs to realize they're not the only one comparing their blooper reel to everyone else's highlight reel. And if you want the complete implementation guide on this, I've created a cheat sheet with the exact phrases, troubleshooting scenarios, and the full audience-to-analyst reset framework. Below this video, there's a link in the description. Just enter your details and I'll send you the cheat sheet immediately. And thanks for being someone who implements and helps others do the same. Here's what to do before your next meeting. Action 1. Right now, open your calendar, find your next meeting where comparison usually shows up. Set a calendar alert 5 minutes before with the title, read the mantra, their stage is not my backstage. This alert triggers the reminder. The mantra gives you the reset. This works because you're creating a prompt at the exact moment you need it. Action 2. Think about your last 3 meetings. Which moment activated the comparison feeling? When someone spoke confidently about a topic you're learning? When someone made a joke that landed? When someone challenged an idea? When someone told an amazing story that got people persuaded on that idea? Pick one. That's your comparison pattern. Write it below the mantra in your notes. Now you know what to watch for. And action 3. Practice the self-compassion check. Right now, while you're calm, pick someone you typically compare yourself to. Picture them in a meeting and say to yourself, this feeling is hard and it's human. Then go for the redirect. What can I learn from how they communicate? Practice now so when your brain hijacks you, you have a path to follow. This is part 1 of 3. In part 2, we're tackling mindset sabotage number 2, the weakness belief. That voice that says, if I feel anxious, something's wrong with me. I'm going to show you your anxiety isn't a defect, it's data. And when you decode it, it becomes one of your most useful tools. Link to part 2 is in the description. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.